I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say.
Hey, everybody, welcome. What's that? Welcome, everybody. Glad to see you here. If you would please rise, let's get this guy started. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. And if you would stay standing for just a moment. Here at the front we have place setting reserved for those who are not able to be with us today. And Lord God, I lift up everyone that's here, their families, their friends, their comrades. Please bless this day and thank you for bringing us together. Amen. Amen. Please have a seat. Is that thing working, Zach? We have a new tripod back there that's supposed to be like a TV studio in a box. So let's see if this is going to work or not. And sound is good. You're picking that up all right? We're going to do introductions, but first, our brand new mayor, Jeanette Tiffany. I want to welcome her to the gathering this morning. Jeanette, thank you for being here. Absolutely, you may say something.
Okay, I just want to say thank you for being in the parade, representing the veterans. It's always the most important float there. And again, for those who were on, who came to the float? Who's on the float? There you go. So I just so appreciate it. And the other thing that I want to announce with Kelly, the council, or the mayor, Dennis, has introduced what we're calling the community spotlight. And that enables people, organizations like yourself, to come to the council to present yourself, who you are, what you do, what the purpose is. And I'm speaking to Kelly about organizing your group to come in the near future, either in whatever month you would like to do it, August, work with Carl and Kelly. So I want y'all to come, tell Trophy Club who you are, and grow your group as well. Okay? Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. Appreciate you. Let's go around the room. We'll start, Kelly, with you in the back. Everybody say who you are. If you're military, say your branch of the service, and if you're not, just why you're here.
I'm Kelly Castanway. I'm a patriot and a board member for Gallup.
One of my bosses. Scott.
Scott Spence, retired from the Air Force Reserves over in Shreveport, Louisiana. Flying the A-10 Thunderbolt 2, I'm familiar with that. And also taught for 3 years at teaching new fighter pilots with Kurt Lattice right here. And Emily Lattice there also. Out in New Mexico, we flew together there for 3 years teaching new fighter pilots.
That smooth-faced young kid in the back.
Eric Wright, U.S. Army, retired.
Emily Lattice, Air Force, retired.
Kurt Lattice, Air Force.
Jerry Mazinowski, Navy, retired. Dennis Sheridan, Army, 4 years, hasn't retired yet.
Lee, USMC, 4 years.
Zach, U.S. Marine Corps, and fought in Afghanistan.
Lyle and Georgia, United States Army, Vietnam.
You almost forgot that for a minute.
You've been
I doubt you ever would.
I'm Ed Burns, I'm new here. I was in the Air Force Reserve and in the actual Air Force Army.
Ed, thanks for being here. How'd you do?
welcome.
Don.
United States Charterhead, All-American.
Don Grace, yes he is. Glad you're here, sir. Glad you're here.
Patrick Turner, U.S. Army, 34 years, active in reserve.
Dean Whitnell, Air Force, retired.
Thanks for being here, Dean.
Tommy Lewis. Oh, sorry.
Hang on, Tommy.
Just one there. My bad. Doug Rhodes, retired U.S. Air Force.
slavery, United States Army, retired, 22 years.
Skip Hickslow, Army, 3 years.
Kathy Jones, United States Army, 10 years.
Wes Gillem, U.S. Army.
Mark Bartels, Army, 3 years.
Tommy Lewis, Navy, submarines.
Hello everyone, my name is Tommy Rios Jr. I served with the United States Air Force active duty 15 years. Spent some time in Korea, spent some time at the beautiful Cannon Air Force Base, Columbus, New Mexico.
Thanks for being here.
I'm not in any of the wrong person. My name is Billy.
Good to see you, Bill. Thanks for being here. My name's Carl Mager, Army veteran. I appreciate everybody being here. What announcements do we have?
Zach wanted to mention about the.
Oh, okay. Well, let's just try and not 2 minutes. All right. I got a report that over at the DFW cemetery that the air conditioning in the pavilion had been stolen and taken, and that a lot of the cars at one of the memory stations had been vandalized, and while the services were going on, they stole everything they could get their hands on. So if you go down to the cemetery, please just be careful on your car. Okay, be aware. Thank you.
Scott?
Just one short story since we brought up Kurt Latch. So we're in New Mexico teaching, and we're both single fighter pilots. Well, there's not many women to date in New Mexico, so we drive to Arizona, to Tucson, college now. On the way, we tell the new guy, Kurt, we only have one rule. Just one rule. If you look the other guys in the eye and say, I love her, then we'll stay away. So we drive the 6 hours, we get there, Kurt gets down on one knee as we get in the first bar, he goes around like this, he goes, I love them all.
Thanks a lot, Scott. I want to echo the comments about thanks for being here for the float, and for those of us that went out and put flags up. Keep in the back of your mind, next year, usually the Friday or Saturday before the 4th of July, we have a stretch of road. We go out here in Trophy Club and we put flags down. So anybody that lives in Trophy Club or has been through Trophy Club over 4th of July, you know what we're talking about. And it's hot work. You know, we usually get about a half a mile road. But next year, just plan on coming out and helping with it. The other piece is on decorating the float. Next year, on the 3rd of July, I'm going to have a barbecue at my house.
Yes!
And we're going to decorate the float.
Yes!
So anybody that wants to come along and help decorate the float is welcome to do so. Our float's been okay in the past, but I think we could probably do better. So I'll be sending out an invite about that.
I'll volunteer my wife to help.
Awesome. Awesome. And Emily, thank you for collecting money and buying all that candy. So we were having a lot of fun being in kids. I mean, throwing candy at kids.
It's never enough. It's never enough candy is what I've heard.
Never enough. We always run out. Yesterday, I toured the University of Behavioral Health Denton. Did not realize they have an inpatient mental health facility for veterans. And if a veteran has active suicidal ideation, they're thinking about killing themselves, they'll work with the VA to get their stay there funded. So the VA will cover that. The CARES Act that just passed did a lot to make that happen. So I'm going to leave some of these in the back, but if you know a veteran that you kind of got your eye on, or if a veteran reaches out to you and says, hey, I'm thinking about killing myself, get them to this place as quick as you can. Okay, I'm really impressed with what they do. Their entire mental health staffs are veterans of it, so it's all veterans taken care of. Any other announcements? Anybody else? That's it, huh? All right. Well, we'll go to the main attraction then. It's my honor to welcome Wes Gillem to the group today. Wes is a former Nightstalker, and I'm going to let him, for those of you that know, for those of you that don't know, you're going to find out here in a minute. So Wes, it's all yours.
I got it all right here. So. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for all of you for being here. And my first time I've ever told my story in public, so I'm a little nervous. My name is Wes Gillem, and I served 7 years in the Army from 83 through 89. Reagan was my president pretty much the whole time. 4 of those years was a helicopter mechanic for the Task Force 160th Nightstalkers, the only counterterrorism aviation unit at the time. Back in my pre-Gulf War on terrorism days, only 3 units wore a beret. The Green Berets, the Delta Force, and my unit, the Nightstalkers.
I left out the Rangers.
What an honor it was to earn this beret. It's very special to me. This story isn't about me. This story is about many everyday true American heroes I'm blessed to be able to call friends. It's about men and women like you and you and you and you. We're the backbone. I want to play a video for y'all.
Well, I believe we, the Americans of today, are ready to act worthy of ourselves. Ready to do what must be done to ensure happiness and liberty for ourselves, our children, and our children's children. Those who say that we're in a time when there are no heroes, they just don't know where to look. As for the enemies of freedom, those who are potential adversaries, they will be reminded that peace is the highest aspiration of the American people. The price for this freedom at times has been high, but we have never been unwilling to pay that price. We will not surrender for it now or ever. We are Americans.
I loved Reagan as a president. It's nice having him for a boss. Got a little story that I'm ad-libbing here. We got half the government's money that they allocated for the military at the time. It all went to the Nightstalker unit.
Cool. Independent, free-thinking, rebels, renegades, and outlaws will never stop.
And we'd have to put on a show for the senators and the congressmen, the president, vice president, a couple of times a year. We'd show them our capabilities and where their money was going. And one time we were doing a show for Reagan and Bush. And I was working with some Air Force people at the time, and we're coming off an aircraft, and we got 2 little detail helicopters on there that we're supposed to get them off, unfold the blades, put them in the air in a minute and a half, and 4 customers are supposed to provide the security for us while we do it. So we practiced and practiced and practiced and got her down right and got ready for the night mission to do this. And my aircraft had to go in for service, so we had to swap it out with the backup. Our aircraft got T-tails, and the backup aircraft had a V-tail. So I'm coming down the ramp, and they're all up there watching us, and we're heading down, and 4 guys on motorcycles are heading out to provide the perimeter, and he forgot about the T-tail getting swapped for the V-tail. And the first thing that Reagan and Bush saw was this customer going end over end on his motorcycle because he hit that V-tail right with his head. And that was the very first thing they saw in our presentation. It's kind of funny, it's a little failure, but that's part of our learning process of what we did back then. We paved the way, and I'm proud to be a part of that. In late 1981, the Nightstalkers were formed after the failed hostage rescue attempt under the Carter administration. The military needed a unit that could react to any real-world scenario with success. I arrived 3.5 years into the creation of Task Force 160. I have the honor of wearing the first 2 patches of the unit. The Screaming Eagle and the prestigious Electric Horse. It took me 2 years of extensive training covering all the scenarios to reach my personal goal and become Team 1 crew chief for B Company, Little Bird's 6 Guns. I was gone about 275 days a year. We trained all aspects over and over and over until we reached perfection. Our pilots shot more ammunition in one night at the range than regular Army pilots did in a whole year. We would go to all the local pawn shops and buy them out of all their 19-inch televisions, and we'd take them to the range and use them for our video. It was a blast. Paid for by the government. Hands down, only the best of the best became a Nightstalker. Our teams trained to be able to deploy anywhere in the world and achieve time on target, plus or minus 30 seconds. Each of our pilots had their own measurement where they learned to fly just sitting in one spot. And they each had their measurement across and up, and they'd take a grease marker, pencil, and put a little dot on the windshield of the helicopter. And they still use this to this day. But that would be their sight for their weapon. It's so cool, amazing technology. Technology, and they use a grease pencil, but it's the most efficient. In July 1986, the call came and we deployed to the Persian Gulf in what would become 1st Special Operations Command, first engagement under fire with night vision goggles. Our mission was to protect the oil tankers going into Kuwait. And then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, "Whom shall I send? And who will go for us?" We all replied, "Here am I, send me." Operation Earnest Will Prime Chance had begun. Nightstalkers loved to fight, fought to win, and would rather die than quit. Nightstalkers don't quit. 6 Guns don't miss. Death waits in the dark. In September of that year, the whole world finally learned of the secret unit that had been around for 5 years. We caught the Iranians laying mines into the Gulf from aboard the Iran destroyer. Long story short, we stopped them, and images were splattered all across the media platforms. Nightstalkers weren't a secret anymore. We were also attacked by an Iranian bog hammer. We sunk it. When it was raised, we found the American-made missiles on board. Thus, the beginning of the Iran-Contra affair. I'm so proud to have served alongside so many Army aviators. That have written history by their actions serving their country. This huge list includes Randy, who accomplished so much so fast in his career that his rank of CW4 had been achieved and he couldn't go any higher. Well, the higher-ups said, "Hold my beer." And he became the very first CW5 in the military. My pilot next to me, right here, that's me. He's Steve. What a character. He'd fly and let me reach out and grab the leaves off the top of trees, and just a blast to fly with. He sure could fly. He has the honor of being the first pilot in 1st SOCOM history to ever engage the enemy under night vision goggles. I would find out from him 35 years later that the water extraction training that we practiced together over and over and over again would be used to perfection during the Panama Operation Just Cause. This photo includes Terry, top right. This is the pilot who put his last rocket in the bog hammer. Mr. D, center with the shiny face, he unselfishly, while out of ammo, flew in and drew the fire away from the bog hammer so Terry could get his last weapon on target and sink that aircraft. That's the kind of people we live with and we dealt with and we work with every day. He got that kill shot with his last rocket. Such bravery by so many just came normal. Everyone was just doing their job. Russ, Mr. Witter, Gino, Major Matthews. He was my commander. Again, such an honor to be a part of this team of Nightstalkers. We have a memorial wall on our compound, Fort Campbell, Kentucky. It has 99 names on it currently. 55% of those on the wall gave the Supreme while training. Back in my day, of the 26 fallen, only one was a combat casualty. We trained so real, so hard, so long. We had to. But as we all know, freedom isn't free. I'm a pencil artist, and I drew this picture as my little tribute to my fallen brothers. I vividly remember the first time I heard dual taps. For a captain of mine, I'll never forget that day. It was so beautiful, and to this day, it's my favorite. Rest in peace, sir. Two of my pilots were destined to give the Supreme on Operation Just Cause. My NCO armorer, Donnie, the bravest man I've ever met. 20 years of confrontations, and he led the way. All the way up to becoming Command Sergeant Major of the regiment. He literally led the way when 6,000 became airborne. The son of the Black Hawk Crew Chief Sergeant Cleveland, who perished in Mogadishu, he gave me this patch. Right here. Out of his dad's collection. He was a Black Hawk guy. He wanted to find the Little Bird guy to give it to, and he chose me. I don't know why, but he did. But I cherish that patch. What an honor. Last year, in October, I got to go to the compound for the first time in 35 years. I attended our unit's 40th anniversary 3-day reunion event. It was awesome because I was able to reconnect with so many, to meet new brothers and sisters, and definitely a bucket list item to take my only child plus 6 other family members to meet some true American heroes. They got to witness what brotherhood means firsthand. Steve, one of my heroes, couldn't make this event, but he drove 3 hours one day to meet us at a diner. He did this just to meet my daughter and tell her stories about her dad. My daughter met Bob, my old executive officer. He graced the cover of Newsweek in the picture I showed earlier. They plastered Navy does this, Navy does this, because he was in a flight suit with no recognition, but he got jokes on that for years. We'd go and we'd have our flag on, American Express card in our pocket, and that's all we had. The name tags were made up names that we had. I'd tell mine, but there were women in the room, so I don't want to. Mexican heritage, and I was Richard Gozinia, but all my friends call me Dick. The hangar is named after my pilot who perished at Panama, Sonny Owen. Lost my place. To actually sit with my daughter in the cockpit of a Little Bird was so cool. Little Bird hangar, named after Sonny. When you go into the entrance, there's a picture hanging on the wall. It tells Sonny's story and also includes a group picture. It was a dream come true to be able to show my only child her daddy hanging on the wall in Little Bird compound. Just very proud of that. It's a dream come true to be 27 again. Wow. I'm top right in the picture. Operation Prime Chance. I was the only one that went to the reunion and took a bunch of photographs, and I got all these special operations heroes to autograph stuff. That's what it's got here. And I linked up with a bunch of people that were on the mission with me and got this picture. Right here, it's my pride and joy. There's only one of a kind. And, it's that honor thing. This is a picture of Donnie, soldier I told you about, the bravest guy I ever met. Stories this guy has to tell. I got to introduce my daughter to the pilot of that bog hammer, shoot down. He autographed a photo, which is right here. He autographed a picture for me. This is my XO Bob with Senator Kennedy. A little extra bonus of this trip was the fact that I got to reflect on having the honor of being only one of 40 that can say they were Nightstalker Soldier of the Year. It took me about 20 years to deal with my demons of my service to country. But now I have a new mission. A new cargo. It's a long mission. Send me. I love being this dad thing. First time dad at 47. And it's my proudest accomplishment above being a Nightstalker. I'm known as Flag Guy at Texas Motor Speedway. 10 years now I've been front row start finish line being the patriot that pumps the crowd up. They put me in their brochures and flyers, and 4th of July, they put me on their site with pictures of me. It's a blast. As I head into retirement in September, I have become an actor. And the last 5 months, the acting bug hit me, and Taylor Sheridan has a new series coming out at the end of the year on Showtime called Lawman Bass Reeves. I'll be in 7 of the 8 episodes on that show when it comes out. The Chosen Season 4. I'll be in 2 episodes of that when it comes out. There's a biblical series made by the deaf community about the story of Jesus. And that comes out in the spring of next year, and I'll be in that also. Everything is done in sign language. There's no words in this world.
Are you playing Jesus?
No.
Oh. That's probably a good thing.
did get to break bread with him, though. That was pretty cool. There's a new series, Biblical Times, called Pax Regnum, that we're finishing the pilot up at the end of this month, and it covers 40 years BC to 100 years AD. And I've got a major role in it, so it's coming out too. I filmed for another religious series pilot, The Carpenter, this coming week in Weatherford, North Weatherford. I got 3 days of filming to do my part on that. I got a cool project coming up. We start filming next month. I'm a 280-year-old lichen werewolf. They were advertising parts for all the werewolf community and the witches community and the warlock, yada, yada, yada. And everybody was 20 to 30, 20 to 30, 20 to 30. So I just commented and I said, y'all need some elders in here. And so they started chatting with me. They said, give us a few days, we'll get back to you. And they created my character for the series. And now I have elders, friends that I brought into the thing. And the Pride Pack is led by my son, but he knows old man still whoops his ass. And they've also given me the project of creating a soundtrack for this series. I write words, and so I'm on my first music director project also, and it's a blast. And I incorporate being a Nightstalker into my projects. And I call it my Nightstalker Easter eggs. One example is when we were on Bass Reeves and they had a hanging scene. 3 guys getting ready to drop, and when the first guy drops, we're all supposed to yell and scream, and I'm just about from here to the wall from the center stage. The main character is right there, and the set is here where they're getting hung. And everybody starts, first guy drops, yeah, everybody's yelling. As soon as it died down a little bit, I yelled, death waits in the dark. And so when this comes out, my buddies in the Nightstalker community, they'll go, that was Wes. That was Wes. And I'll do it in other things, other shows. I'll be walking, whether I'm a background character or supporting actor, I'll just be walking around and I'll point to something up here, but what I'm pointing at is, here comes the little birds, you're in trouble. That's my little Easter eggs that I put in there. We have a place called Remembrance Trail on our compound. It's a beautiful place, it's a mile long. And you get to stop and reflect with everybody that's on our memorial wall. And then they have places where people that aren't on the wall, they have their own little spot too. A tree is planted for them, put a blue sign on it for them. When my current mission is over, I've let my daughter know to take my ashes and spread them around in the background of this place. I'll surely welcome my next mission while in the company of true American heroes. Here I am. Send me. Got some pictures up here and stuff if you're interested in looking at. The Michael Durant, Black Hawk Down fame, autographed his book to my daughter, and just a lot of special things here that mean the world to me.
Who's got questions?
Hey Wes, who was your roommate back in the day that used to fight with all the time?
My roommate I used to fight with?
That used to wrestle with?
Oh, well, you mean the four-legged wrestler?
No, the professional one that you were friends with.
Oh, okay. Randy Couture and I are in the Army together. He's the most decorated UFC champion that ever was. And that's how we met when we were in Germany. My wife was his boss. And she goes, hey, you like to wrestle? There's a wrestling organization here. But a kid that works for me named Randy, go check it out. So we're about the same size. I'm 24 years old. And coach puts us in the squared circle. And we get in there, and the very first thing I did was this Olympic arm drag I learned at the Olympic training camp. And I took him down. First time. he got up, he goes, I got some competition here, and then he proceeded to kick my ass. But every time we hang out and get together with friends, I always tell the story. Tell them who's the better wrestler. And then another night at the club in Fort Campbell, Kentucky, he was my corner man, and they brought in a wrestling bear. And,
Oh my God.
I'm the only Nightstalker I know that wrestled a 750-pound bear. And I beat it 15-4. Oh, that was a lot of fun, but as long as 3 minutes of my life. Tried to do it sober. When I saw the bear come out, I was the fourth match, and I had a whole pitcher in me before I got out. The bear had my leg up like this and swatted it down. He jumps on top of me, and the camera angle shot that I have is I got the bear on my back, and his head's over here like this, and I got his paws pulled apart, and I'm getting ready to escape, and I got an 8x10 picture just like it. It was so cool.
Hey, Wes, got one over here.
Question over here.
What did you play as in the Jesus movie?
What's that?
What did you play as in the Jesus movie?
In the Jesus movie, I was basically a good friend of Matthew's, and I was an individual that collect taxes, and that was my character. And I got to, Matthew was sitting next to Jesus at dinner time, and a bunch of us come in to have break bread with them. And since I was good friends with Matthew, I took that spot right in front of the camera between Jesus and I got some good screen time coming from that.
What was that? The helicopter job?
MD-500, huge helicopter. We had different variations. He'd be able to tell you a lot more about it than me.
What was the capacity?
I have literally been on the outside, of course, where we drug the skids with the C-30 engine and got 13 of us off the ground.
Oh, wow.
But normally it's just the gunships are a two-person aircraft, and the passenger versions of them are a six-person aircraft.
You mentioned the bog hammer. Was that an Iranian?
It was an Iranian bog hammer. They were firing upon us, and all.
Is it like a fast attack?
Yeah, it's kind of like a Navy SEAL team boat that's, but the enemy's version of it. And we had already taken out a few of them, and then they were making the decision whether to come back in for ammo, because everybody's out of ammo pretty much, and had that one rocket left. And so they communicated together and set up a plan, and they sunk it and raised it up. We found American missiles on board an Iranian ship, and that started the whole Iran conflict there.
Wes, you said this is the first time you've told your story?
Yes, sir.
What was that like to prepare that?
I cried, but I feel more honor because, like I said, my story isn't my story. It's about who I got to work with and who I had the privilege and honor to work with, and they made aviation history, and it's just an honor to be listed in that group and to be a part of it, and to show the teamwork it takes to accomplish this mission. You got 2 people out here, but it takes 100 of them here to accomplish this mission, and that's what I try to teach my daughter. When I took her on the compound, she's a little hesitant. She's almost 15. She'll be a freshman this year, but she's a little hesitant about the service. But she saw those drones, and she said, "Daddy, I can fly one of them drones." Wishful thinking.
Somebody in the corner here has done that.
Where do you live?
I live in West Fort Worth.
Oh, good. You're close.
Sorry, I guess he can't come before the council on that.
I was trying to figure out a way to get it there. That's great. What a great story.
What would you say to a veteran who has not told their story? Should they,
I think
words of encouragement or?
It took me finding my Nightstalker group on Facebook, and that's how I dealt with my demons. I lost my job as a Nightstalker I was one of those Jody's got your girl and gone type of situations, and I was gone for 2 months, came back, and my Nightstalker best friend was sleeping with my wife. And I had a mission to go on to. It was a training mission, but I just couldn't make it, and so I had someone cover it for me, and then I got removed from being a Nightstalker because my head wasn't straight. And it took me 20 years to get over that, and I was angry. I worked so hard, but the truth is they were right. We had missions to accomplish. We couldn't be thinking about anything else, and so I had to deal with those demons first, and I dealt with that by joining this Nightstalker organization and reconnecting with people, and that allowed me to get over the demons of 2 days after IETS was Panama, and both my pilots gave us Supreme. That's bothered me a little bit, and I should have been there and things, and we all have thoughts like that. But deal with your demons within yourself, and find people to talk it out with, and then you'll be able to get to where I was today, being able to write down my story and tell them.
When you reconnected with that group, what did you expect? How did you expect to be received by the group? And how were you received?
I was received great. It's led by some amazing people that tell the story and the history, and we all get to chime in on different posts of what role we play or what we do. And my main goal was to link up with Steve. He's my hero. Steve's my hero. And then it just went on further and further and further, where I got to find more friends and connect, and it's just a joy to be able to have that brotherhood, have that camaraderie, and be able to tell stories and see which story is actually the real story, And so we're correcting each other all the time, but like my dad used to say, is memory's the first of 3 things to go when you get old, and he couldn't remember the other 2.
Any other questions?
Has going into the acting industry, or whatever you want to put it called, has that helped you emotionally, mentally, from anything stemming from the military, and essentially transitioning and integrating back into a very civilian-dominated community?
It's all still just teamwork. Everybody there. I watch television now in a totally different way. I watch movies in a totally different way. I listen to them in a different way. I see the background characters walking around, and each one of them has a mission to do. And I see the supporting actors or the actors, and they're doing their thing, and that's part of the mission too. And then you hear the soundtrack and songs being played, and that comes into play as part of the mission. And then you hear the scores that are played during certain scenes, and it all comes together to accomplish that mission, and that's a good story to tell.
This isn't really a question, but more of a comment. So I thought the tiny bird would be a lot bigger, knowing what the mission is. And I'm surprised, well, I know now why it has tiny bird as a name. It's little.
That's why we call them little birds.
Oh, little bird, yeah. Tiny bird, whatever.
Was that a follow-up to code?
No, totally different aircraft. It was used in Vietnam, and when they made our unit, we basically got all the old details and brought them into our unit, and then we went from there, because the biggest thing they liked, would you say, is their crashability, that they roll, and so you could get in and do your things, and if worst case scenario happened, it was still survivable to get out of it in a tight situation.
Almost every little bird that the task force has right now has been crashed at least 2 or 3 times, whether it was shot down or it just crashed in a crane. Like 649 was one of my tail numbers that I had. I seen that thing crash 6 times.
Oh my God.
As long as the kill beam at the base of the aircraft is intact, you can completely rebuild that whole element. So, and a lot of our tail numbers, they had tail numbers from Vietnam because we took them all from the Mississippi National Guard. So, Probably familiar with those, right?
Is there like a star on the side of the aircraft for every crash?
No, but the irony is that 649, one pilot actually crashed it 4 times.
So he's got 4 stars though.
Yeah, and he tried to blame it on the aircraft, and we can't tell him, it's like, no, it's because you're fat. You can't get enough fast cycling to
Oh my.
Hey, Wes, I'd like to give you one of the Gallup points. So add it to your collection. I know you probably have a huge collection of points, but it's a privilege having you here with us today and telling your story. It's important for a couple of reasons. It's important for you to share it, but it's important for veterans to hear it. It's important for the general public to hear it because you made a comment about one of the greatest privileges of your life is your photos on the wall of the regiment headquarters. And who that works across the street over here is going to say, greatest privilege of my life was that my photo was on the wall at Charles Schwab headquarters? I mean, it's not even the same, but they don't really understand what that means. And sharing that helps give them a little bit of a glimpse into it. They also need to understand the sacrifice. Every veteran that there are in the military, when you get into something like the Nightstalkers or Special Forces Ranger Regiment, that community is so tight that when you separate from the community, usually you separate because something bad happened. Somebody died, something in a relationship happened, somebody got a DUI maybe because they didn't want to get counseling. But that separation creates, like in your case, a 20-year time period where you fought with, was that a good experience, was it a bad experience, should I have stayed in, did I do the right thing? Very, very common that happens. And I'm glad that you found your way back. I'm glad you found your way back to the organization. Anybody out there that has isolated, separated from their former comrades, they need to come back to them because that is the most healing thing that you can do. So thanks for being here. When I was in 1st Ranger Battalion, I got there a year after he left, and I flew probably with some people that you know, and having your boots clip the treetops when you're flying in a Black Hawk at night is quite an experience.
Yes.
That's right. Kelly.
Can we get a group photo with everybody, please? And this is going to be used by the Town or Trophy Club, so if you do not want to be in it, we want everybody to be in it, but just know it's going to be used by the Town or Trophy Club.
Before we do that, does anybody else have anything for the entire group? Next month, 2nd Saturday, Mylon has something? Speaking. Mylon is speaking. Okay, so you want to come, you want to bring somebody, and let's hear Mylon's story. So, 2nd Saturday, gosh, that's August.
August 4th.
Oh, yeah. More. August is almost here. All right, well, come on up for the photo.